Hello, welcome to the Fashion Lab here with Jenny. Today we're looking at Size Specification Sheet, one of your major 3 documents that you need in an offshore production tech pack. Okay, let's demystify it. Let's make it simple. Your fashion students out there that have done pattern making and grading often still find this quite a daunting document. I'm going to demystify it here and now, and we're going to all get through it and go, actually, I can do this quite easily, and therefore you're going to impress future employers. First thing we want to do is we want to go over to Illustrator. And in Illustrator, we will draw your trade sketch, and then you'll create a new layer by clicking on your new layer, and you will draw in all your arrows and letters. You can see it's on a new layer. Always starting with the top labeling that you normally start with. You normally start with bust, waist and hips. Always only include the ones that are relevant. Obviously there's no bust here. So we've got waist, but because it's elasticated, we've got waist relaxed and waist stretched. We've got things like the hip measurement. And our hip measurement is not a random location. It is actually 18 centimeters down from the true waist. So we mark that in and we make it very clear. So it means when QC comes through and does a check on it, they know they're measuring in exactly the right spot. We have our outer leg, inner leg, front rise, back rise, leg opening, hem width, split opening, etc. So they are important things. Also, if you do some shading for something like a pocket bag or a facing, you can then do the length and width of those as well and very easily mark it out for people to see. Okay, jumping back to our specification sheet. We then lay our garments down on a board or on a table, and then we measure those things. First of all, making sure that we write in A, because we've got our reference here, A, B, and making sure that those letters correspond with those letters up here, and making sure that those words are simple and succinct to what you have marked on your drawing. Depending on what your garment is, you will write different names. They will change every time, but I do recommend that you have a master pant specification, a dress specification, and then you just alter it. You can delete a lot and you just start again each time. Okay, we've laid this down on the table, we've measured it, we've got what our core size is, so we've got our medium here. This is our base size, and these are where we're going to, these are its measurements. Now, I've made some cheat sheets. So if I come down to the tabs down the bottom here, see how I've got this cheat sheet? I'm going to click, hold and drag it next to my size specification sheet, and I'm going to do my formulas. While I'm working, I might bring them over here, and then I might put them over here in my additional information when I'm finished. Okay, so with this here, I go, okay, waist circumference. So what do I need as my grading increment for the difference between my sizes? Click on my grading cheat sheet. This one here is a fairly universal one. At South Metropolitan Tape we have 2. We've got a universal grading rule, and then we have a very particular one which is linked into our Gerber system, which is not quite as clean fraction. It's more 0.6 than when we have 0.5 here. So I just thought this was a really good one to learn with. But grading isn't always constant. Sometimes you also just have to make that decision on what you think would be best for your demographics. So what's our bust measurement grading, or our waist? Well, we want to start with this garment with our waist. It grows 5 centimeters. So can you see this grading picture here is about a garment that's a cylindrical, so it goes around the body. These are pattern pieces that sometimes give us an extra reference that may be relevant, but basically it's a body. So we come down and we go, okay, so around the waist it grows 5 centimeters. So that's our grading increment. So we've got 2 waist ones, and then we go down to our hip. So let's go back. Hip is 5 centimeters, easy peasy. So 5 centimeters. Then we come down to our waistband width. My waistband width is here. You can grow it between sizes, but I actually think the waistband, often you have facings and stuff that are designed for waistbands, so you keep it constantly. So we're going to go 0. It's not going to change between sizes. The outer leg length. Okay, back to our cheat sheet. So from our waist down to a hem, we've got this section and this section, so it's 0.5 and 0.5. So on my grading, I'm going to grow 1 centimetre. Then to my next one is my inner leg. Come back to my cheat sheet. My inner leg is from here to here, so it only covers this category, so it's 0.5. Okay, 0.5, next one. Front rise and back rise. Let's do them together. Front and back rise are both within this area, so it's only 0.5 on both of them. So 0.5, 0.5, down to leg opening. Go back to our cheat sheet. It doesn't have anything on here, so this is the time when you actually might look at the pattern and you go, so this is growing over here, 0.5 in that. So I'm going to go with 0.5. That looks good to me. So 0.5, and then I'm going to come down to hem width. No, that's not going to change, so that's 0. Pocket depth, I think that will stay the same, 0. There we go, all of that 0. And then we come down to our drawstring length. Now, drawstring length goes around our body, so I think it would have the same grading as our waist, so 5. So hopefully you can see it really is just looking at it then, and you can just work it out. Some things you go, no, that's not going to grade, that will grade. Once you've done that, highlight it, Control-C for copy, come over to the other side and hit enter. Now we've got all of those sizes here. Now, to the formulas. You always want to click where you want the answer to be. Now, for the large, all it is the medium plus the increment. So for that, we could come up to home and we could do our auto sum because that would add it together. But this over here is going to be the size, take the increment, so it's going to be a take or a negative, and therefore the auto sum doesn't work, and we want to be consistent with how the maths we're using. So we are going to hit equals. Equals tells Excel we're doing a mathematical formula, or it tells us to copy that cell. In this case, we're doing a mathematical formula. So then we use our mouse and we click on the measurement, and then we over on our keyboard where we've got the backslash, the asterisk, the dash and the plus. They are our mathematical symbols. So the backslash is divide, the asterisk is times, the dash is take, and the plus is plus. So we're going to hit plus, and we're going to click on our increment, and we're going to hit enter, and that will give us our amount. So you can see it is 5 centimetres bigger. Once again, just quickly doing this, equals the amount plus on the keyboard, click on the cell, and then hit enter. Once you've done that, I would only do the top line. I'm going to come down to this little green square at the bottom, hover over it, and it turns into a black crosshair. I'm going to click, hold, and drag to the bottom of my numbers here. So that will give me all of those numbers filled in. I'm going to come over to our small. So this time I'm going to go equals, because that tells Excel we're doing a mathematical formula. Click on the amount. This time I'm going to click on the dash, which is take, and we're going to click on the 5, and then hit enter, and that will give us our measurements. So once again, can you see how fast it all fills it in? Okay, this is where people start to get confused and lost, because I could click on here and do exactly the same. So I could go equals this plus the increment and that. But this, if I click on it, is a formula, and I don't believe in clicking on a formula because I think there's too much room for corruption along the way. So I always believe go back to your clean number. So go equals increment plus, and we need, so not increment, our measurement. Now we want our increment, but if we click on this, it's just going to add 5 centimetres. I actually need it to be 2 sizes bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do brackets to partition this part of it and click on my increment, and because it is 2 times bigger, I'm going to go times 2. So it's 5 centimetres times 2, so it's the increment times 2, and then I'm going to hit enter. So if I click on it, you can see the formula up here. Let me jump over to formulas explained. So on this one here, where we've got it 2 sizes bigger, you've got it equals this times this. So breaking it down, what that is that it's the 91 centimetres here plus the 5 centimetre increment times 2 gives us the size. Now, if we didn't partition the 5, which is the increment, times 2, which makes 10, if we didn't increment that and then plus that to that, we would end up with 91 plus 5, which makes 96, times 2, which means you've got 112. So you get quite different maths answers at the end of this. So what you want to do is partition this so that you're saying, I want the increment to be twice as big. Okay, so back over to our specification sheet. Okay, so on here, let me do it one more time. So equals the original amount plus brackets to partition the increment times 2 close of brackets and hit enter. So I'll just quick format that. Let me do it on a bigger one again. So go equals the original measurement plus brackets to partition the increments times 1, 2, 3. 3 times bigger, close the brackets, enter. So you can see on this one, it was 3 times bigger. Okay, so let me fast format that and come over to this one over here. This time I'm going to go equals original increment, take brackets, increment times 2, close the brackets and enter. So you can see over here, we still wanted this times 2. So that was 5 times 2, which gave us 10. So we wanted our measurement to be minus 10 centimetres. So that gives us that. And so now I can click down and we have all of our grading in there. So really start with the drawings, mark it out, thinking of it logically of what's the most important things for you to label, give them the A, B, C, D, then come in here and fill this in and making sure that your A, B corresponds with your picture up here. Lay it on a table, measure those measurements on the flat, then use your cheat sheet to work out your grading and then use your formulas to just double check if you're confused. Hopefully this has explained it all and it makes it a lot easier for you. See you later.